BetterHelp Online Therapy bought this 30-second ad to remind you right now, wherever you are, to unclench your jaw, relax your shoulders, take a deep breath in and out. Feels better, right? That's 15 seconds of self-care. Imagine what you could do with more. Visit betterhelp.com/randompodcast for 10% off your first month of therapy. No pressure, just help. But for now, just relax.
On today's Smart 7, US agrees Black Sea ceasefire deal, not secret group chat causes chaos, and much more. It's Wednesday, 26th of March, it's Maths Day, and happy birthday, Martin Short.
The Smart 7. It's news, but not the news.
There was what appeared to be good news on Tuesday as the US announced that a deal had been reached for a partial ceasefire in Russia's war on Ukraine. The announcement followed a day of talks with the US and Ukraine, followed by talks between the US and Russia, and all sides issued statements on a proposal to eliminate the use of force in the Black Sea. The agreement also included the previously discussed 30-day pause on attacks on each other's energy infrastructure, but there were no further steps on the path to a longer-term peace. The Ukrainian side believes the US and Russia discussed claims over Ukrainian territory, and President Zelensky says he'll be taking a cautious approach.
Our strategy is to unconditionally agree on a ceasefire. Then, the American side monitors it. If the Russians violate it, we show the evidence and ask the US president for pressure, for sanctions, for weapons, and so on.
According to Russia, the maritime ceasefire will only come into effect if US sanctions on Russian agriculture and exports are loosened, which raise further concerns about how closely the US side are aligned with Russia. Russian Foreign Secretary Lavrov sounded pleased with the outcome.
I think our American partners have heard this signal. They understand that Washington alone can achieve positive results in stopping terrorist attacks, stopping the shelling of civilian infrastructure not connected with the military-industrial complex.
If you were online at all on Tuesday, you'll have seen a million memes about the Trump team's top-secret group chat. The chat wasn't secret, it turns out, after members of Donald Trump's senior team accidentally invited a journalist to a signal group that discussed in detail plans about US attacks on the Houthi rebels. Defense Secretary and former Fox News anchor Pete Hegseth was in Hawaii trying to shrug off the embarrassment, but other members of the insecure chat group found themselves in front of a Senate hearing, including CIA Director John Ratcliffe and Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard. It was a bruising experience, as this statement from Senator Mark Warner, the Vice Chairman of the Intelligence Committee, demonstrated.
This was not only sloppy, it not only violated all procedures, but if this information had gotten out, American lives could have been lost.
There have been calls for those involved to resign or be fired, and even Fox News seemed appalled by the screw-up. President Trump didn't seem too concerned, however.
They've made a big deal out of this because we've had 2 perfect months. Certainly we'll look at this. But the main thing was nothing happened. The attack was totally successful.
Wednesday sees Chancellor Rachel Reeves make her spring statement. She'll take to the dispatch box around 12:30, just after Prime Minister's question time, and is expected to lay out a programme of cost-cutting in order to stick to the budget rules. The speech isn't expected to be long, it's not a full budget. She is expected to announce about £5 billion in welfare cuts, although no new taxes are expected, in line with Labour's election promises. She's also had to manage a commitment to an increase in defence spending, which is largely funded by cuts in international aid. Former Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn isn't much looking forward to the speech.
The Labour Party in government is an enormous disappointment. I never thought I'd hear the day when a Chancellor would get up and say they're taking £5 billion out of the income of the very poorest disabled people in our society. It is a disgrace.
After 3 weeks of an Israeli blockade of food and aid into Gaza, a protest broke out on Tuesday. Hundreds of Palestinians gathered in northern Gaza to protest, not at Israel's treatment of Gaza, but rather to protest against Hamas and call for an end to the war. Banners which included slogans like "Stop the war" and "We want to live in peace" were displayed as the crowds chanted "Hamas out" and "We want to eat." Since Israel recommenced military operations in Gaza, almost 800 more Palestinians have been killed, and Shaima Al-Obaidi from Save the Children says the situation is getting worse by the day.
Medical supplies are not getting into Gaza right now. The medical supplies that we do have, they will run out. They will, in a matter of weeks, unless the situation changes. I am very scared. I am terrified.
Still to come on today's Smart 7, in association with Metro, Arsenal women gear up for a quarter-final battle, and Bill Murray shares a regret right after this.
To get people excited about Boost Mobile's new nationwide 5G network, we're offering unlimited talk, text, and data for $25 a month.
Forever.
Even if you have a baby.
Even if your baby has a baby.
Even if you grow old and wrinkly and you start repeating yourself.
Even if you start repeating yourself.
Even if you're on your deathbed and you need to make one last call.
Or text.
Right, or text. The long-lost son you abandoned at birth.
You'll still get unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month with Boost Mobile.
Forever!
After 30 gigabytes, customers may experience slower speeds. Customers will pay $25 a month as long as they remain active on the Boost Unlimited plan.
Forever.
Welcome back. Tuesday night saw the last of the current batch of 2026 World Cup qualifiers, with Wales in action against North Macedonia. Things didn't go particularly well for the Welsh, and the game finished with a 1-1 draw, which sees Wales on 4 points after 2 games. This week sees the second leg of the Women's Champions League quarter-finals, with Arsenal in action against Real Madrid on Wednesday, while Thursday sees Chelsea and Man City go head-to-head. Arsenal have work to do after losing 2-0 in Spain, but England captain Leah Williamson says the team are ready to give it their all to get to the next round.
The work that we've done, you can see a direction that we're going in. The focus never shifts, but we can't think about those sorts of things. We just focus on the task in hand in the next game.
Bill Murray has a new movie on the way in which, well, he's dead. No spoilers, but The Friend, which also stars Naomi Watts and a large dog, Bing the Great Dane, is due to hit cinemas shortly. Bill has been on the press tour, giving out about Bob Woodward, reminiscing about Gene Hackman, and naming the 2005 movie Broken Flowers as his favourite piece of work. He popped up with Howard Stern on Tuesday to chat about how he nearly worked with Clint Eastwood.
I was watching the Clint Eastwood movies of the day. I was like, I got to call this guy. So I called him out of the blue. And he said, would you ever want to do another service comedy? Because I just made Stripes, and he had this great idea for an enormous Navy thing. And I said, well, God, I guess maybe I shouldn't. But it's one of the few regrets I have, is that I didn't do it, because it was a big scale thing.
The Final Destination series finally has a 6th movie in the franchise, 14 years since the 5th instalment hit cinemas. The new movie is called Final Destination Bloodlines, and it sticks to the tried and tested format in which death inevitably catches up with those who think they've had a lucky escape. The original movie was written by Jeffrey Reddick, an X-Files scriptwriter who spun an episode idea into a movie franchise. Bloodlines also features the final performance of Tony Todd, who has played the character William Bloodworth in pretty much every movie before he died last year. The movie hits cinemas on May 16th.
Grandma, what's happening to us?
Years ago, I had a premonition that started it all. I saw what death was about to do. I saved a lot of lives that night, lives that were never meant to be saved. But death doesn't like it when you mess with his plans.
You've been listening to The Smart 7. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Hit that follow button and have a great day. Give us 7 minutes and we'll give you the world.
Under Biden, Americans' cost of living skyrocketed. Food, housing, auto insurance. Lawsuit abuse is a big reason everything's more expensive today. Frivolous lawsuits cost working Americans over $4,000 a year in hidden taxes. President Trump understands the problem. That's why he supports loser pays legislation to stop lawsuit abuse and put thousands back in the pockets of hardworking Americans. It's time to make America affordable again. It's time to support the president's plan.